the supreme divine powers guiding the course of humanity to its return to the source, to God, from whom it has separated, need to bring elements into the seeker's life to encourage him to turn around and radically change something within himself. Since the dawn of time, an inexplicable inner longing emanating from the heart for the ineffable, a higher truth, God, has awakened within many people. The supreme divine powers cause this longing through a complex network of well-defined radiations beyond the material world. These form the invisible framework of the teachings of the universal mysteries. All who react positively to these radiations experience changes to their inner lives that differ from people who solely focus on the values and acquisitions of the material world. They are called seekers of the Spirit of God. It is understandable that to approach God, who is beyond matter, their experiences would differ from those who are materialistic. They will have to realize how the material world keeps people attached to the false values of this world through expectations and desires. These manifest as ambition, a thirst for power and social status, excessive accumulation of wealth, competition on all fronts, to name a few. The rigid, time-tested thought patterns of everyday life, such as polarized black and white thinking, filtering and magnifying the negative aspects, jumping to conclusions, form an important additional challenge on the path back to source. However, one cannot instantly achieve a deeper understanding. Many books available are suggesting that one can achieve a higher understanding without much effort, with reading, contemplation, and some exercises only. This, however, is not correct. A truth only benefits the person if it is personally and tangibly experienced through the life situations brought about by the higher radiations emitted by the supreme powers and transmuted to a light force field by many individuals consciously working with them. The purpose is to encourage people to change their familiar thought and behavior patterns. The supreme divine powers guiding the course of humanity in its return to the source, God, from whom it has separated, need to bring elements into the seeker's life to encourage him to turn around and radically change something within himself. People accustomed to a certain way of thinking, feeling, and behaving then experience these situations as something different and maybe not entirely desirable. However, they partially understand the necessity. In these cases, they usually speak of trials given by God to test their commitment, faith, and worth. Usually the conclusion is that the trials were passed, failed, or something in between. This is all perfectly understandable and logical from the perspective of the individual at the receiving end of the respective trials. However, this viewpoint does not consider the fact that the supreme divine powers who guide the seeker possess a very different and more evolved consciousness, and that human reactions are predictable. We are an open book. The most important reason for these trials is not the testing of the seeker, but by being placed in an unusual and often distressing situation, he can glimpse something beyond the established course of thoughts, emotions, and actions, to see his limitations and gain a deeper understanding. This is also a step closer to God. The test benefits the seeker as he recognizes himself in his true light. Thus, the trials just become lessons. Looking at the experiences from this perspective, the seeker will understand the great mercy given him through such trials, which are often accompanied by suffering. He will accept them with understanding as he moves closer to God, who is love. In this loving communion, the suffering will fade away, and what he perceived as a trial, with a certain amount of fear and reluctance, will simply be an experience to enhance his connection to God, the whole being of the one who has accomplished this quest becomes a source of that divine love and a blessing to other seekers of the divine light.
Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoyed it. If you wish to support us in reaching more people, like our posts, rate us with 5 stars on iTunes, leave a positive comment where you can, or share our content on your social media.